showing up in support of free speech, in support of our country and what it was founded on. So I want to give you all a round of applause. I also want to thank the outpour of support and donations we received from many in the audience and many who were actually out of state. We got dozens, hundreds of emails. I'm just going Trump there, hundreds, huge. And it's donations like that that make these events possible, that allow us to put on great events and continue doing what we're doing. So again, thank you so much for everyone who helped. I also want to give special thanks to Roseanne Navarro of the WNRC, the newly elected president, for sticking with us through the press storm, through all the outrage and all the issues that was in lead up to this. So thank you, Roseanne. I also want to thank our security team tonight, Ambassador Security Services with John Kelly Sr., please. NYPD. And speaking of the NYPD, we were very lucky to have basically a battalion outside helping keep this event secure. So let's give a round of applause. So when we first announced this event, we thought things were going to kind of go smoothly, maybe we'll flow under the radar, but you just can't have that anymore in this day and age. Many of you are probably familiar with this organization called the Council of American Islamic Relations, otherwise known as CARE. So we had, randomly during the middle of the day, an ultimatum given by CARE that said, please remove this speaker, or we will go to the press, we will issue this statement, and we will make your lives basically very miserable for the next few weeks. We basically told them, as we said to Breitbart, we do not negotiate with terrorists. And if you don't understand the reference, this is an organization with ties, proven ties, it was proven in the court of law, to Hezbollah, to Hamas. It's designated by the United Arab Emirates as a terrorist organization. They're an unindicted co-conspirator in the Holy Land case. This is a thuggish group that seeks to shut down free speech where it can, to make us bend the knee, and to promote anti-American values wherever they can. So we're not going to stand for it, and I'm glad we had this event, and thank you all for making it possible. And just one more bad actor, the Daily News, that rag, that piece that we published. Absolutely ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous that they say that there were dozens of groups that were challenging it. No, it was one group, and it's a group that they refused to practically name to the very end of the article because it's such ill repute. So shame on them for their editorial standards. Shame on them for basically being a mouthpiece for a Hezbollah-tied organization. It's an absolute shame, but that's the state of the media that we're in. So with that, I want to give special thanks to one of our board members, Secretary Jackie Galinsky, for helping put this on. I'm actually going to pass the mic off to her to make formal introductions for our guest of honor tonight. So thank you again.
And first of all, like Gavin said, thank you all for coming out to this event, supporting this club, supporting us, supporting our speaker, but most importantly, for supporting free speech. As Gavin mentioned, the club has gotten a lot of attention from the press in the days leading up to this event, but throughout that time, I can promise you, like Gavin also said, our commitment to free speech has not wavered. No matter how hard they try, we will not allow fake news, big tech, or those social justice warrior outrage culture to define which ideas are good, which are bad, who can be silenced, and what is hate speech if it exists at all. Instead, we're here to celebrate the free flow of speech, ideas, philosophies, perspectives that make America the most diverse, most tolerant, and free nation in the world. Whether we disagree or whether we agree or disagree. Our speaker today is no stranger to controversy that comes from stating uncomfortable truths. This woman, this Jewish woman, I might add, has been labeled, as I'm sure you can all guess, a racist and of course, a Nazi. The irony. Pamela Geller is a fighter and an activist, and she embodies the very essence of American values. She's an author of numerous books, as well as a founder and editor of the Geller Report, and she serves as president of the American Freedom Defense Initiative, and has been an outspoken human rights activist on behalf of apostates of Islam. I'm sure Pamela can agree with me when we said, and which we have said, that we will not negotiate with with terrorists. So please, without further ado.
Good evening. Good evening. And thank you, brave hearts. Thank you, each and every one of you that came here today under penalty of death. It's the truth. Thank you, young Republicans. Young Republicans. Oh my God. My two favorite words. Young Republicans. Young Republicans, my new favorite oxymoron. First, high praise for the New York Young Republicans Club, Gavin Wax, who stood up, a singular institution, to the bullies and the thugs that would have shut this event down. Huge props. And to Jacqueline, who was behind this event as well. I cannot applaud these people enough, because this is not my problem. This is America's problem. Think about it. There's an important lesson to be taken from this event, and we should learn from the left. The left has failed in all of their ideas. Every idea has failed, except they stand by their people. No matter how egregious the crime, no matter how grave, they circle the wagons. The right, the only thing circular on the right is a firing squad. It's why the left is so effective, and this is a profound failing on the right. And that's why I say to you that you are here tonight is no small thing. It is an exceptional organization who did an exceptional thing. The Eventbrite incident, Eventbrite was the ticket holder who blacklisted my event, who, by the way, continues to host events of jihad supporters and Jew haters like Linda Sarsour, like Rashida Tlaib, Ilhan Omar, and the UAE designated terrorist organization, the Council of American Islamic Relations. They are still on Eventbrite. But me, who has never exhorted to violence, never incited to hatred, who works in defense of freedom, I am blacklisted forever from Eventbrite. Now, it speaks to the left's agenda of silencing any dissent. And this is what, forget about me. As Americans, this is the core issue, and it is the most egregious issue that we're dealing with today. Because the ideas of the left cannot stand up to challenge and scrutiny, we must be silenced. I've been banned from speaking almost everywhere, except here, but I really have. I mean, this was just one small talk. And look at the hoopla. One little talk, how this little Jew frightens them. I never beat anybody up. I never incited to violence. I don't have a gun. Well, we have Walter. This was but one talk, but they are relentless totalitarians. Make no mistake about it. No dissent, no matter how small, will be tolerated. Listen to me. If we don't stand up to this bullying and censorship that the Eventbrite incident epitomizes, the freedom of speech will become all but a dead letter in this country. For my part, I'm doing all I can. Cowardice and capitulation are pandemic today, and the Eventbrite's quick surrender is a sad case in point. So, This speaks to the left's war on the republic. This speaks to the war on the intellect, the age of anti-intellectualism, and the age of anti-reality. Thinking is being criminalized. Opinion is a crime. The left speaks of free speech policies. Listen, we have a free speech policy. It's the First Amendment. Freedom of speech is the foundation of any free society. Without it, a tyrant can wreak havoc unopposed, and his opponents are silenced. I'm sorry for the feedback. If a speech that offends a group is outlawed, then that group has absolute power, and a free society is destroyed. These are the ramifications of what is happening here today. A group that cannot be criticized, cannot be opposed. It can work its will no matter what it is, and no one will be able to do anything to stop it. Putting up with being offended is essential to a pluralistic society in which people differ on basic truths. If a group will not bear being offended without resorting to violence, then that group will rule unopposed while everyone else lives in fear, while other groups curtail their activities to appease the violent group. This results in the violent group being able to tyrannize the others. Inoffensive speech needs no protection. The First Amendment, above all speech, protects political speech. Good ideas, likable ideas, need no protection. Think about it. It's ideas that we don't like, because then who would decide what's good or what's forbidden? Terrorist groups like CARE? That's what's happening. That's what's happening now. They are deciding who can and cannot speak, not just at the Women's Republican Club, but on every college campus in America. I can tell you, I used to speak, my colleagues used to speak regularly on college campuses. Never. And that's why young people are so important. The millennials who, frankly, it's not good. It's not good. For me, any criticism of jihad terror that examines its ideological roots in Islam is called Islamophobia, which is a thought-crushing device designed to impose Sharia blasphemy laws on the West. And we see it. We see it. Islamophobia is used to intimidate people into thinking there is something wrong with opposing jihad terror. This deforms our response to terrorism by placing off limits any examination of its guiding ideology. And it effectively enforces Sharia blasphemy laws in the US by placing Islam, the Quran, Muhammad beyond any criticism. Think about this. 30 years ago this year was the fatwa on Salman Rushdie in the UK. 30 years ago. Look where we are 30 years later. First of all, at the time, no book reviewers criticized Rushdie. And while British Muslims and their co-religionists were burning books and setting fires in the streets, even the notoriously Islamophilic BBC said at the time, and I quote, the book burnings were, quote, awful symbolism of this assault on ideas. Margaret Thatcher, a conservative, and by the way, most disliked by Salman Rushdie. He was a vocal opponent of Margaret Thatcher. He used to mock her, publicly mock her. He called her Margaret Torture. She, without hesitation, provided round-the-clock protection, without so much as any hesitation. She said, this is not a political thing, this is a civilizational thing.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Little lady.
Now, when I held an art exhibit in Garland, Texas, a couple of years ago, showing depictions of Muhammad for the past 1,400 years, when they weren't always killing people, Dante's Inferno, I'm sure you know that depiction of Muhammad, And jihadists opened fire on this event to kill me and the people who had attended. That's why I say you're here on penalty of death, ladies and gentlemen. Not only, and you only have to go to YouTube to see, not only did the left attack me, but you had a president of the United States, Barack Hussein Obama, who went before the UN and said, the future does not belong to those who insult the Prophet of Islam. This is incredible.
That's crazy.
That you can't run a cartoon under penalty of death. This is the low state of freedom in this country. And you know what? People don't even know about it. Since then, since fatwa on Rushdie, the attack on free speech has been unrelenting. Let's think about something for a second. Since 9/11,